a huge cheer for Illinois, New York. That's tough.
Yeah.
Senator, you're a war hero. You served in Iraq. You sacrificed so much for your country, but you're also a Democrat. Why do you hate America?
I actually love America so much. You know, maybe we have too much liberty and freedom. I don't know. That seems to be what this administration thinks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you were a war veteran, and then you decided to go to Congress.
Yeah.
I mean, what was harder, the war or Congress? I mean, it seems pretty tough.
They gave me body armor and bullets when I went to war, so I think Congress is harder.
Yeah, I know. But you're in it. I'm in it. You're in it right now.
I'm in it.
Yeah, you used to fly missions in Iraq, right?
I did.
You were a helicopter?
I was a Black Hawk helicopter pilot. Loved it.
Oh, that's badass. That's
amazing.
Yeah, it's bad. And you decided to run for Congress, and you won.
I did. I was pissed off that we were not taking care of our veterans, so I decided to run.
Yeah, so how are we treating our veterans?
Well, we were doing really well until Trump decided to fire 6,000 of them from their federal jobs in the last 3 months.
Yeah, and why do you do that?
Well, you know, I guess this is a guy who hugs the flag, says he loves America, but then fires 6,000 veterans. I don't think he cares about us.
Yeah. So would he give any reason for firing?
There was no reason. It's part of their cuts across federal government. Yeah. Veterans, after they serve in the military, tend to want to serve the country, continue to. And
as civil servants.
As civil servants.
Right.
So 30% of the federal workforce are veterans. And so this president has fired more veterans than any other president in modern history.
Okay.
6,000 and counting.
And how is that? Okay, we get it. All right. They don't like it. And that's specifically, was it DOGE or was it something else?
It was DOGE's across-the-board cuts. When you fire this many federal employees, you're going to lose that many veterans. But DOGE has also come out, and they've announced they want to cut 80,000 personnel just from the Department of Veterans Affairs. That's their next target.
But, okay, and I don't know. Are these people they can lose, or is it going to run fine? Is it running fine now? What's the situation in the Veterans Affairs?
It was getting better. We passed the PACT Act, which was bipartisan, which basically signed up 1 million more veterans who were exposed to cancer-causing toxic smoke from burn pits. They're finally getting the care that they need. And now we have those folks on board, and now they're going to fire all the people who take care of those folks.
Okay, and
so I'm pissed.
Okay, can anyone stop this? Or?
Well, we can try to stop them. We are fighting them every step of the way. In my case, I've been able to get some veterans their jobs back. They fired veterans from the Veterans Crisis Hotline. Right. These are people who answered the phone when a veteran is contemplating suicide.
Sure.
They pick up the phone and they get an answer within 8 seconds, or at least they used to. And so some of the folks who work in that hotline were fired, and they reached out to me, and we were able to get them their jobs back. Sure. So we are fighting back.
So, like one at a time. So there's
one at a time.
So there's jobs. There's jobs that were lost, but then there's overall just like veteran health care, right?
Yeah, they've had to cancel operations. The spouses, the family members of disabled veterans are not getting support through their hotline. Appointments are being canceled, or now they're having to wait even longer. We were just turning the corner. We were actually reducing the number of homeless veterans. We were just adding more veterans, getting more benefits. But remember, this is a president who says people who are wounded or died for this country in uniform are all losers and suckers. He doesn't care about us.
Okay, so just to put it out there, this is also a guy who arguably a lot of veterans would also vote for at the time. So how do you reconcile that? I mean...
Well, I think what they bought was this rhetoric from him that he was going to, he wants to make America great, strong, and powerful. And yet all he's done is made us weaker, sicker, and less secure.
Okay. So, yeah. So, I mean, I guess the relevant question is, do you think it's changing the opinion of the people who voted for him?
Oh, definitely. Have you seen what's been happening at these Republican town halls, where people across the country are showing up in town halls and saying, what are you doing to our veterans? I'm a veteran. Why did you cut my benefits? I had a veteran reach out to me from Tennessee because he was declared dead and didn't get his regular checks.
Was he dead?
He out to me through a Ouija board.
Okay.
He actually reached out to me.
But again, the question is, okay, so we all have, obviously, you know, we're kind of preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
Obviously, the people who didn't want to vote for his president, still, we maintain that we shouldn't have voted for this guy.
Yeah.
What about, the question is, what about the veterans specifically? Because you're more in touch with that community.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there is a change in sentiment that was previously overwhelmingly in his favor? Do you think it's changing a bit, or is it still very much, no, he's doing the right thing, we don't see a problem, the issues are exaggerated? I mean, is that...
I think it's changing. I think there's two things that are happening. One, the fact that he is basically kissing Vladimir Putin's
you can
ring.
say it. Yeah.
You know, means that these are people who spent their entire military careers getting ready to oppose Russia. And now they see the commander-in-chief basically doing whatever Putin wants him to do. So that is changing the sentiment. The other thing that's happening is all of this rhetoric against women serving, against LGBTQ veterans serving. People forget that there's been a generational change within the military. Gen Xers are now the old people. Millennials are now the upper management, and they've only ever served.
And we're happy to be here. And now it's finally, our turn to take charge.
They're now the field grade
sick
officers.
of these Gen X people.
Yeah, I'm Gen X.
Yeah.
Okay. No, so millennials are now the majors, colonels.
Yeah.
They're now
they're colonels now?
They're now colonels.
Oh, way to go.
Yeah, right. They're now sergeants majors. You know, they're now higher ranking. And
you say this, but then it's like.
But they've only,
he kind of said what he was going to do before he ran. Pete Hegseth was Pete Hegseth before he got appointed against women in military. They still won. So my question is anything that's happened changing the sentiment?
It is, because I think a lot of them didn't believe that that was what was going to happen. And they saw the reality of the fact that the military cannot do its job without women in service. The military cannot truly do its job without diversity in the force, where people can speak different languages around the world. You want soldiers who can speak Swahili without forces in Africa. You want soldiers that can speak all the different languages. And so the millennials have only ever been in the military where there was equal service with women and LGBTQ.
Were you saying that white people can't speak Swahili?
Well, but you want native speakers, right? You want more diversity. You want that diversity, inclusion is a good thing. You want people who have those backgrounds. You want somebody like me who speaks Thai and Indonesian to be able to go in and speak those local languages. And we also have people in charge of the military now, the millennial generation, who have only ever served equally without don't ask, don't tell. So they know the lie behind, LGBTQ people are not good for the military. Well, no, they know that we've always served equally and we can't go to war without each other.
Okay. I mean, that deserves an applause. That's a nice sentiment. I hope you're right, because we cover the news every day here, and I just feel like nothing moves the needle either way. I do a lot of jiu-jitsu. All the jiu-jitsu guys are like a lot of veteran people. So I'm not connected to that community at all. Let me just say the ones I have met are very MAGA. So I don't know how
A lot of them are very MAGA, but they're seeing the reality behind the betrayal, and they're seeing what's happening to veterans with the cuts at the VA. They're also seeing what is happening with Trump bowing down to Putin. Just watch those town halls. A lot of them revolve around people standing up and saying, what are you doing for our national security?
Right. And on the subject of DEI, so another thing you've recently had to, you were on the front lines of hiring, because they had to, you were in the Senate when people had to get confirmed, and so you were part of the committees that had to have hearings on who to confirm. And so I guess you're kind of on the front lines of this, like, I don't know what you want to call this, a backlash against DEI towards meritocracy, and you had to basically approve the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, I voted against him. He's the least qualified Secretary of Defense in our nation's history. The least qualified.
Just give him a chance.
Give him a chance. This is the least
What do you not like about this guy?
Well, let's see. The largest budget he ever was in charge of was something like $13 million, and he screwed that up so badly they had to bring in forensic accountants to figure out what he did wrong. And now he's in charge of an $825 billion budget. You're talking about a guy who used signal chat to plan a strike, right? A military strike.
Right.
Exactly.
What?
Exactly.
So
who basically put in an unsecured channel 30 minutes after the drones hit, our F-18s will be on target, basically telling the bad guys, this is where those F-18s are going to be and exactly what time. Yeah, he put those pilots' lives in danger. He does not deserve to be the Secretary of Defense.
But you've never planned an outing with group chat before? Trying to get people on the same page?
I never planned an outing for the military involving weapons of war.
What do you say to the people who are like, who think that the DEI thing in the military is inappropriate to kind of use DEI categories in the military for hiring?
Well, what I say is that's not true. It never was. This is a fake argument on their side because it was never done. Remember that this president fired a Secretary of Defense who was a pilot, highly decorated, 40 years of experience, commanded major units, and replaced him with a guy who was a platoon leader who had never run a budget larger than $10 million and who couldn't even mention parts of the world, where the U.S. has huge troop presence, who didn't understand where the nations of ASEAN were, for crying out loud. And this is the guy that's going to be in charge of our nuclear submarines that transition those sea lanes. Are you kidding me?
Okay. So he got confirmed, though.
He got confirmed.
Right.
Party line vote.
Party line vote. And I guess
a couple of people crossed the party line, but not enough.
Oh, okay. So that brings me to the next question. I mean, you're actually on the front lines of Congress.
Yeah.
You have to talk to Republican congressmen all the time. Like, what is it in Congress? Are your colleagues, Republican colleagues, are they seeing the same reality behind closed doors and telling you, like, hey, listen, I know this is crazy, but whatever? Or are they drinking? Are they true believers, drinking Kool-Aid? What's happening in there?
I think the Republicans who are willing to stand up to him were the ones from the first term. They're not back, right? And so the ones that are there are becoming invertebrates. They've lost their backbones and they're hiding in their shells.
Okay.
This is where they are.
Like, okay.
They just roll over for this president. They say I always.
No, are they true believers or are they? You know what I mean?
No, they're worried about their own re-election, and at a certain point, you need to say, you know what? Come at me, go ahead and primary me. My country is more important than this job.
Right, and
unfortunately, most of my Republican colleagues don't think that. They're not acting in that way.
Sure. So I mean, again, you've always kind of, I think you've kind of led with integrity. You've always stood by your word. You always.
I too.
Yeah. How do you? The Democrats have lost a lot in the last. They don't control any branch of government. They don't control the popular vote. They don't have any cultural momentum. So clearly they were doing something wrong. Like what should they be doing? Like what message isn't getting through here?
I think the message that's not getting through here. What Trump did was he spoke to a group of Americans who were disaffected, who really felt that this country was leaving them behind. And he made these promises. And a lot of people were watching the reality TV show. And I get from a lot of people, it's like, oh, I voted for him, but I didn't think he was going to come after me. I didn't think he was going to deport my wife. I didn't think that he was going to cut funding to my kids' public school.
Because he said specifically he was going to deport that guy's wife.
Well, no, because he said he was going to do all of these things, right?
Yeah.
He said he was going to cut the Department of Education.
Yeah.
People were saying, well, yeah, but we didn't think that he was going to go after my special needs kids' funding, right? They just thought that it was all an act.
Sure.
And it's not. And it's not. And now people are being fired. They're losing their jobs. They're seeing the reality of where we are with the economy tanking, with us less safe than we were before. And they're realizing, oh, I made a mistake. That's just why you're seeing people talk about, I voted for him, but I wish I hadn't. I made a mistake. And what Democrats need to do is talk to all of those people and say, Illinois, where I'm from, is 102 counties. Only 6 are blue, 96 are red. And I go into the red parts of my county and of my state and I say, listen, it's about loving this country. It's about putting America first. It's not about a guy who hugs the flag and then shits on America by starting trade wars and cutting funding for veterans. That's not what this is about. This is about making sure that we support our farmers who grow the food that we eat, a country that can't feed itself. It's not a country that can defend itself. This is about making sure that our veterans have the services that they earn. This is about making sure our military has capable, competent leadership who knows better than to plan war plans on group chat, unsecured group chat. This is about putting America before yourself. And this president has never done that. And Democrats need to start talking to the heartland and talking to people and saying, we are here to fight for you, and we're going to fight for you every step of the way. And that's why you're seeing folks like me getting out there, especially from the Midwest, talking about industrial America, about what we need to do to regrow our economy and what we need to do to stand up to this president, to make sure that we make those investments in this country and not in the oligarchy billionaires that he surrounded himself with. Because that's all they care about, themselves.
Sure. Do you think that message is coming across?
I think it is. You know, when I talk to the ag sector, for example, they've seen body blows after body blows. Farmers tended to vote for Trump. Yeah. But when I go to talk to them, they're like, well, these tariffs are killing. I'm not going to be able to hand my family farm off from my generation to the next generation. I'm the 7th generation. There will not be an 8th generation. The tariffs are going to hurt me. John Deere is losing jobs because the steel coming from Canada is now going to be more expensive. And so they're seeing the difference. And we need to just continue to pool all those people together and let people understand that the way that we make America greater than she already is to come together and work together, not by dividing us, which is what this president is trying to do. Okay, well, I hope you're right, Senator. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming to speak to me. My pleasure. Thank you for serving your country. Thanks for serving with integrity. And thanks for representing Asian people and Southeast Asian people in America. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Senator Tammy Duckworth, everybody.